Good evening. Welcome to the podcast topic 2 years of Berkadia and T-Hub partnership. Hello, my name is Sujit. I am the CEO of T-Hub. Now, I have with me very esteemed guests from Berkadia, Mr. Andrei Chursov, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for the correction. Senior Vice President, Transformation from Berkadia. Welcome, Andrei.
Thank you.
Mr. Sudipto Mukharjee, who is the MD and Country Head, Berkadia, India. And Mr. Bryce Nyberg. Yep. Thank you. You know, it's always difficult to pronounce the surnames. Yeah. And I am sure it must be the case with Indian names as well. Yeah. So I am not the culprit alone. Who's the Vice President, Corporate Development from Berkadia. And both of you have traveled from US, I presume.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So before we kick off on the 2-year journey that Berkadia had as a partner with T-Hub and vice versa, and also the next 2 years that they foresee from a partnership standpoint, I would probably request 3 of the gentlemen to introduce themselves in terms of what they manage, and what kind of organization, department that they oversee, so that the teams would get to know. So may I request Mr. Andrei to kind of do a quick introduction about yourself.
It's a pleasure, Sujit. It's great to be here. I'm Andrei Chursov. I lead Berkadia's US transformation arm, and I work very closely in partnership with my India counterpart, Kavita. Our team fundamentally drives change at Berkadia, and it's along the lines of people, first and foremost, mindsets, and whenever needed, we augment that with technology and process changes. And frankly, for those 2 reasons, we are certainly here at T-Hub in search for new ideas. Very quickly, prior to joining Berkadia, I worked with Fannie Mae for a little bit. It's been an interesting journey in the transformation space there. I had exposure to consulting and did a little bit of work in the United States federal government space.
Well, thank you for having us, first of all. And I'm Bryce Nyberg, so Vice President of Corporate Development at Berkadia. I've been with the company for a little over 7.5 years. Been focused on transformation, corporate development, working with early tech companies, exploring the market outside of Berkadia and looking for good solutions for the organization. That's kind of been the constant theme through my career at the company. And component of corporate development is leading our startup accelerator, Be Engaged. So that's a big part of what I focus on, what my team focuses on, is engaging with early tech companies, offering our startup accelerators resources to those companies. So we'll talk a little bit more.
Absolutely. And we'll double down on that as well. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sudipto.
Thank you, Sujit, for having me over here, having us, the entire Berkadia team over here. My name is Sudipto Mukharjee. I'm the MD and country head for Berkadia India. Now, Berkadia India is really the global capability center for Berkadia. The Berkadia's core business is in the US. We support the US businesses here in India. We have a setup in Hyderabad, Gurgaon, and Bangalore. Overall, about 1,300 people. We support all the lines of businesses for Berkadia, which is mortgage banking, investment sales, and servicing. We also support the various support functions like IT, HR, finance, and all of that. Of course, transformation, which Andrei spoke about. Personally, I'm a chartered accountant by education. Have been with Berkadia now, it's going to be almost 6 years. But overall, in the corporate world this is the 34th year running. Bulk of my career has been with Deloitte and then with GE Capital, JP Morgan, just to name a few.
Wonderful. Very rich and varied experiences that I see amongst 3 of you. So before I double down on the transformation that you are driving, so I just wanted to get a little more sense of the whole area of focus that Berkadia has globally, especially, I mean, you are in so many areas, be it in financing, selling, or loan servicing, and also I think there's a lot of insights-based, business transformation programs that are driven. So Can you just briefly talk about the organization itself?
Of course.
And the bit of background and what's your core area of focus, etc.
Yeah. So Berkadia just celebrated its 15th anniversary in December, and to your exact point, we have three main areas of work. One is investment sales. So basically, we represent the sales side of transactions, and the bread and butter for Berkadia is multifamily properties, so large apartment complexes. But we do have exposure, and we do some work with student housing, hotels, hospitality sphere, as well as some of the manufactured housing. In all of this, one of the overarching areas is affordable housing, which is an important topic for the United States market. So investment sales is one big block of our work. The second block is mortgage banking, which is providing financing for these multifamily transactions, as well as other types of properties. And the sources of banking for us come from a variety of sources. Some of them are government-sponsored enterprises in the United States, so Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, as well as banks, life insurance companies. So we have a variety of opportunities for clients we engage with. And then to your point, we do have a very substantial servicing arm that actually helps property owners fulfill their obligations in terms of taxes and legal work, as well as a variety of maintenance requests and other things. So those are the three big areas. But yes, we also have very deliberately invested in technology. We do have a very dedicated team that does innovation work within Berkadia in-house. But in addition to that, and we'll talk about our corporate development arm at great length, but we also have capacity and strong desire to engage with technologically advanced breakthrough startups outside of our own purview. But we do believe that there is a substantial opportunity to advance all of our areas of business based on a strong technology background.
Thank you. That's very interesting. And since you brought up the corporate development, it makes sense to go to Bryce. So you are part of your working in that particular area, right? Corporate development, and of course leading be engaged as an initiative. So a little bit more about what do you do as a part of corporate engagement, what's the focus, and and then a little bit about the Be Engaged initiative as well.
Yeah, happy to. So corporate development is a function where we're looking at any opportunities to adjust Berkadia's future with outside influence. So if we can look at acquiring a company, if we can invest in a company, we'll do that at the corporate development function. Occasionally we will make changes with our organization. That might be a divestiture or some other change at that level. That goes through my team. Within the Be Engaged program, it's really fulfilling part of our goal of the corporate development team, which is to source solutions, source great opportunities and enhancements for the organization. So the Be Engaged program is a dedicated function working with early tech companies and sourcing tech companies continually to find new companies that we can adopt and use in-house, but also that we might be able to take to Berkadia's clients, which are real estate investors, or to our partners who are capital providers and other industry players. So the Be Engaged program is an ecosystem of all those players that I mentioned. The startups are kind of the star of the show when it comes to the Be Engaged program. We're there trying to offer support to them, extend resources from the organization that will benefit their growth and their opportunities. While we're doing that, Berkadia is looking at those companies as sources for improving our operations, looking for ways we can reduce cost or improve revenue or build capacity into the organization. So that's just a little bit of a taste of Be Engaged.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And we'll come back to understand a little more about what kind of startups operate in your space, etc., and where is your interest?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Sudipto, I mean, you are based out of India, you're driving business as a head of India business, and you're also contributing back to the global organization. First question is, why Hyderabad? what made the organization think that Hyderabad is the right place, and you are a big GCC here. So, and what is your view on the GCC ecosystem here, and also the role your org is playing back to the global organization? Why Hyderabad, GCC ecosystem, and also what are you doing back to the organization?
Sure, that's an excellent question, Sujit. And why Hyderabad? History. I think the predecessors of Berkadia in 2002 had chosen Hyderabad, so they were visionaries. They knew that Hyderabad is going to become I think the leading GCC capital of the country. And of course, I think we also played a role to become that. And I have been associated with the offshoring industry from 1997, which was at the very, very nascent stage. And I've seen this evolution of a BPO becoming a GCC. I think sometimes we use the term GCC a little casually, but when I talk about Berkadia, this is a true global capability center. So everything that we do is completely integrated to the mothership. And one of the things that we are trying to evolve to is how do we contribute very directly to even the strategy of what the core business does. And our partnership with T-Hub is one such idea, because it started with the casual conversation with Andrei, and we are talking about the Be Engaged program and so on and so forth. And we said, hey, we are in Hyderabad, T-Hub is in Hyderabad. Can we do a partnership where T-Hub gives us access to startups who are doing cutting edge technology in the prop tech area? And then, of course, we engaged and we got into this relationship and so on and so forth. So, to your question of how this GCC is contributing back to the business, this is a glaring example of how we are doing that and what we are doing. Of course, we are growing our skills, our talents, our understanding of the core business, so that we can do more value-added, more complex business from India. And I think that's how we are going to create value for the business as we go forward.
And if I may ask, how do you think T-Hub has supported, the organization in the whole transformation journey, or even part of the initiatives that Bryce spoke of? Can you just give some areas where the collaboration really worked?
Sure. So it has been a great collaboration, and as Bryce talks about the kind of relationships that we have built through leveraging our relationship with T-Hub, we'll definitely talk about that. But when I wear my sort of narrow India hat, what it has done for the GCC is give us visibility in the market. Especially, talking about hiring IT talent, I think one of the interesting challenges that we face is that we compete with the tech giants. And our partnership with T-Hub helps us propagate the fact that we operate at a technology level which is as advanced. And therefore, the talent who joins us can have great careers in IT.
Got it. Fantastic. Thank you. In fact, that brings me to 2 points that you mentioned about people and mindset.
Yep.
Right? As a part of transformation, you focus on those areas. How does how important are those two, especially in transformation or driving transformation, given that you are a very traditional industry, but you are a breakaway from that tradition, in terms of adopting all these, technological, embracing startups, technological changes, etc. So how did you achieve that people mindset changes? So was that by chance?
Well, I would first suggest that we were still on a journey.
Okay.
I don't know that we have fully achieved, but what I think we did realize, and that it goes back To Berkadia's founding values over the last 15 years, Berkadia is in many ways a values-driven organization, and we believe in one core value, that's we innovate, and the other one that speaks to us standing for excellence. And so that is really the bedrock, the pillar that helped us think about the fact that we need to drive forward in a systematic way. And one of the best ways to drive forward is through a variety of incremental change opportunities. But to your point about mindsets and people, the refinement of that concept is what's currently, frankly, taken time of and effort of the transformation team. There are a few learnings that have come up so far. So, for example, we clearly realize that working at the cross-functional areas is usually one of the opportunities where there is more to be gained. It's not usually within the units, it's multiple units across a value stream coming together and working more effectively. The other piece that is important, and we're still very much working on this, but genuine feedback and true generous communication across functions is another piece of this puzzle that helps us be more effective and kind of focus on the people side. And then to the people and mindsets, the other element of that is still technology, correctly? So figuring out the right proportions of those three ingredients for various processes. Sometimes it is in many ways a technologically driven process. Sometimes it's a high volume, repeatable situation where frankly technology does need to drive. But there are plenty of others where it's really about conviction and how we work first and foremost, and then it's about driving technological elements. And then the other learning is around leadership readiness. Oftentimes, we have found greatest success in areas where leaders truly believe in the need for change. And we collectively, frankly, everyone on this panel tries to drive more of a target-based, measurement-based change. Again, we're on a journey, we're probably not quite there yet, but we have identified a few learnings already, and I think we frankly are here and working in terms of exposure to global ecosystem, because we want to challenge ourselves. We don't want to rest on any kind of laurels and say, oh, we figured it all out. There is plenty going on in the world, and certainly here at T-Hub, where we can absolutely learn more.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
Bryce, especially on Be Engaged program, right, in which you are leading, can you tell us some interesting stories in terms of what kind of startups came about and that you had, that caught your attention and that were really directly contributing to what you are doing or primarily the industry? And was there anything that T-Hub contributed, from that initiative perspective?
Yeah, to your second question, absolutely T-Hub's contributed, and we're live with a few experiments that have been sourced from T-Hub, some companies that we were introduced to by the team here, and we're feeling really good about how those experiments are going, and in one occasion we're going live with some solutions that were introduced to us by the T-Hub. So absolutely contributed. To speak a little bit about some of the companies that are participating in Be Engaged, and maybe even some that T-Hub has brought to our attention. The Be Engaged program, for a little bit of history on it, it's been around since late 2019, and the launch of the Be Engaged program was really in response to our efforts that were already underway to engage with technology companies in the United States. We had built a network of entrepreneurs that we were getting to know. We were exploring them as partners to our organization. There wasn't a formal structure around how we were engaging with them, or even a dedicated team. It was a lot of me working on the side to figure out how we can keep up our relationships with these companies that we found really interesting. Some of them too early for Berkadia to jump in with both feet and use. But we thought, hey, a few more months or another year, this is going to be a great solution. Coming up with a plan for how we work with those companies was really interesting. That turned into the Be Engaged program. We spent a lot of time, me plus a few others at the time, thinking about what should the future of the organization look like when we're trying to involve technology companies. And so we wanted to work with commercial real estate companies. We wanted to find cutting edge solutions in prop tech and fintech that would apply to our business. We found that what we started doing was really interesting to a few of our clients that were more tech focused and interested in finding solutions to deploy at their portfolio level, where they own all their assets, all their commercial real estate assets. And it also became interesting to some of our largest partners. And we realized we were onto something when we started hearing interest from those parties. So we decided to make the Be Engaged program really an ecosystem of all of those players. So some of the solutions are really aimed at augmenting Berkadia's efficiency, but there are tools there that are great at helping our clients run their portfolios more efficiently. So we found tools from efficiency tools that drive new business for our HUD construction group and help them process loans more quickly and efficiently, and the draw process behind that on our servicing side. We've found tools that at the property level will help increase the occupancy of the property by getting faster responses out the door to potential leads and leases. We've seen everything from credit tools to automation to OCR. We have a pretty broad interest in the industry intentionally because we are working with this ecosystem of players and we're all benefiting in different ways around it. But our goal is to really find solutions that will help Berkadia at the end of the day, whether it's internally or to just be a better advisor to our clients and bring things that they really love and that will help improve their operation.
Maybe to circle back for a moment to T-Hub. So far in our relationship, I believe we have found that T-Hub at the highest level has been helpful in two areas. One was a very quick ideation, so there are definitely opportunities where we thought we had an idea, but to validate that we are on the right path or potentially disprove very fast, finding some of the startups that are already doing something like what we had in mind was super helpful. And T-Hub team was able to source on a variety of occasions startups in areas as diverse as artificial intelligence, ESG reporting, and a few others where we were able to test our idea very quickly against the reality of what's already happening. And frankly, in some cases, very quickly prove ourselves wrong and move on, so that proverbial fail fast worked really well here.
Nice to hear.
But the second area where I think T-Hub also excelled is exposure, holistic exposure to an area. So in particular, we've been working very deeply with your organization in the augmented reality and virtual reality space. And to be frank, when we started, I don't believe either Bryce or myself knew the whole lot about that. But through the work with T-Hub, we were able to identify various quality points, price points. Your team has been excellent as far as providing exposure to companies not only in India, but frankly globally. And by now, a few quarters later, we are in a position to say that we probably have scouted the market. We identified a few price and quality points that are compelling to us and are doing the right thing specifically for Berkadia's case. But identifying, narrowing that down, bringing out a couple of ideas that are very realistic and back to my theme of mindsets and process, fitting specifically to Berkadia's process and specifically to our organizational mindset, that was very, very helpful.
Amazing to hear. Thank you for all those kind words about T-Hub, right?
It's easy to say when it's real, when it's all real.
Real, absolutely. Thank you. So since you brought up this AI, ML, AR, VR solutions, both of you, I mean, this question is to both of you, and choose to answer one of you or both of you. How easy is it to get this adoption going, especially one internal and for your customers as well? Because like we were talking, it's traditional industry, people look at it in a certain way, and change is not going to be easy. So are these actually getting to scale as well, or you see that would take some more time?
I think every company we work with is a little bit different. We certainly try to focus on areas where we know there's demand inside our organization or with our partners. That's where we tend to have more success. But as soon as we find something that's new that other folks haven't been exposed to, there's some education that we have to do to drive adoption. So we have cases where things get adopted really quickly because the problem was known and the solution was an obvious solution to that, and we can drive adoption within a couple of months really quickly on those things. Where it's novel and new and maybe cutting edge AI or machine learning or even AR, VR, where we haven't used it before, but we think, hey, this is a new opportunity for Berkadia. This is a way to have some advantage in the market. That sometimes can take a little more effort to kind of educate the network within Berkadia on what this could mean for the organization. But everything drives at a different pace. I don't think there's a perfect solution for how you drive adoption. You have to take it case by case, but we certainly want to find those that are more eager to explore with us, and they usually become kind of champions for solutions. So if we can find somebody that's eager to adopt a new technology and we can prove the value, we can pilot and test with that limited group, oftentimes that limited group can become the champions to help celebrate the success and the win and drive adoption throughout.
To build on that, I would abstract our learnings in this type of space to about 3 main points. So one is leadership is super important. Those areas where we have leaders that are open to change and are willing to work with us and project a consistent tone of change and adoption of technology, those are the areas that tend to take off much faster. The other piece there is to make sure that we're building truly a capability, and it has the supports, it has the integration with other systems. So it's not just a technology for its own sake, or it's an isolated intervention, but truly when it becomes a capability, be that here in India or in the United States, or ideally, frankly, both, that is definitely another area where we are successful, where it's actually technology driving build out of a muscle, if you will. And then the last piece is the quicker the translation point is from the technology adoption to actual business imperatives, the more successful we are. And to the extent we are very actively working on this, but actually quantifying the return on investment and quantifying the profitability impacts of various technology adoptions, certainly very high on our minds. We absolutely guarantee that the sooner we can articulate that and the shorter that runway is, the easier that usually drives to a technology adoption.
Thank you. Wonderfully said. So just wanted to understand your views on the innovation ecosystem that's happening, building, growing, because you're probably closest to amongst the 3 and watching the change here.
No, it's fascinating. I think even if you look at what's happening and what the projections are, I believe there's some projection which says 6% of the global export is going to be from India by the time we reach 2030. And a large part of that contribution comes from GCCs. I think that speaks volumes of how the whole innovation ecosystem is playing out in this country. We all know that there's also a projection of the GDP being 7 trillion or whatever the number is by 2030. I think all of that is going to play very, very significantly in the whole way India operates, especially from the innovation ecosystem of the company. And GCCs like us, in partnership with programs like Be Engaged, will have a tremendous impact on that. I think the demographics, and I know, Andrei, this is one of your favorite subjects, the demographics of India is also going to play a significant role as that happens.
The factor that I love that Sudipto mentioned is that my understanding is Gen Z generation here in India is 377 million people. And that's more than the whole population of the United States, which I find to be super, super impressive. But what to bring this back to your question, also extremely optimistic and hopeful, right? You have digitally native 377 million people. There is a very high chance that they will have great ideas and they will have great new ways of doing business. So I think there is a ton to be hopeful for and look with a degree of optimism for sure.
No, that's a very good putting that spotlight on the young population. It's a very good point as well.
I'll just add that T-Hub has shown us a lot of what's happening here in the Indian market. It's been impressive to see. T-Hub's curated this beautiful ecosystem of startups in all sorts of verticals, and we've gotten some exposure to what these companies look like, and that's part of what attracted us to T-Hub, and the opportunity to partner with T-Hub is being able to say, hey, there's something great in aerospace that might actually apply to the commercial real estate industry that we would have never thought of. I think being able to tap into an organization like T-Hub that knows the Indian market and also has connections across the globe is really, really powerful for us, right? We want to say there's lots of things in fintech that we know, but there's plenty that we don't know. And T-Hub's helping to educate us on what we might have missed otherwise. So I think that's powerful.
Bryce, I was nudging Sudipto, saying that Hyderabad is also very big on real estate. You should consider looking at business from here as well. The new line of business. Yeah, so that's an opportunity. But having said that, so maybe we should come to a kind of a conclusion. I'm sure very interesting topic. We can dig deeper and converse for much longer time, but keeping time in mind. So what do you think is the future for, say, Berkadia next 3 to 5 years? What's the vision for the organization? Or maybe from your vantage standpoint in the transformation space, what is it that you are chasing, Andrei?
Yeah, I'll start, but I think Sudipto and Bryce have great ideas as well. My take would be that Berkadia has just celebrated the 15th anniversary, right. And Berkadia of today, while I wasn't there at the beginning, but my understanding is that Berkadia of today is dramatically different and has grown both in volume, complexity, by leaps and bounds. And if the next 15 years are as impactful as the previous 15, we will be in a great shape. And so while we do have specific targets and production volumes that we have in mind, I think the more interesting kind of the overarching theme is that we look at the future of the company and the future of, frankly, the transformation function with a huge degree of optimism. Similar to what we just discussed about the ecosystem here being on an upward trajectory, I think there is a very strong, wind in Berkadia's sails as well. And so the degree of optimism is absolutely there. But then the other piece is we also are very rational and pragmatic about how we go about decision making and growth. And so just as another example, it's not always that we acquire new capabilities or make new investments. Sometimes we divest capabilities. Sometimes and recently we did a transaction actually through Bryce's team where we believe we have done the best we could for a part of our technology stack, but the better home is elsewhere. And so we made a very difficult but pragmatic decision to move on. And so that will also be another piece that drives us forward. And finally, we are open to experimentation and trying new things. So to your point, no promises about specific markets, but are we open to experimenting and trying new things? Absolutely. And I think those three pillars, optimism, pragmatism, and experimentation, will carry us forward.
Wonderful. And congratulations on the 15 years.
Thank you very much.
And just to add on to that, Sujit, I think Berkadia is a company which is driven by mindset and values. That is what we are anchored on. If there's something that will not change, it is that. So I think we'll be very firmly based on our values and the very fact that we really care about our people. It's a people-first culture that we have in the organization. That is not going to change. I'll give you an example of what the transformation team, and I think a lot of credit to Kavita, who leads the transformation team here. We created a tool for our employees, which is called the Career GPS. It's basically a navigation tool, and you can navigate your career using that tool. It's completely built in-house. So our focus on people are developing our talent, making sure that we are adding more value to the business as it keeps growing. I think I'm borrowing that from the optimism that Andrei spoke about, will be something that the India platform, the GCC, is going to stay focused on.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I'll say, leaning into the comment on values, we have these two values that I think are really important. Andrei touched on them, but we innovate and we strive for excellence are two of our values that I think will continue to propel us forward for the next 3 to 5 years. We're not going to stop. We're not changing our direction as far as trying to make enhancements to the organization, grow revenue, improve efficiencies, expand the business. All of that will continue, and I suspect it will accelerate from here forward.
Wonderful. And to be a little more specific about the Be Engaged program for the next 2 years, what's your aspiration, vision? I mean, is there something that you're aspiring to achieve?
Yeah, one of the things that we've been focused on is having kind of a steady state of companies, kind of north of 20 companies. So we're at 14 to 15 right now. We'll hit 20, hopefully a little more than that, and continue to focus on adding value to those companies, but also looking for great solutions that will deploy in the organization with the partnership of transformation and what transformation does with the business units, and identifying where there's room for improvement and where technology slots in. And I think we'll do a lot more in Hyderabad and in our office here. There's plenty of opportunity that we've seen even in the last few days that we think we can bring technology and great solutions to come to play and add value on the operations that happen here. And that would be frankly new for us to go deep with our India operations.
Fantastic. So finally, on that point, are there any specific areas of focus for the next 2 years? What areas are you planning to improve, change, transform from India's standpoint?
Definitely. So continuous improvement, making our processes more mistake-proof, reduce manual intervention, improve control, improve accuracy. These are sort of ongoing focuses that we'll continue to have. Investing in talent, hiring the best talent. And, we were having an offline conversation about the fact that what we do in Berkadia, India is pretty niche. And, how do we invest more in training that talent up to deliver even better services to our US parent?
All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Andrei, Bryce, and Sudipto, for sparing your time and sharing your thoughts. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Sudipto.